I hate that part. That's the worst. That's the worst part of the whole entire book. All right. Let's see what happened to Grayson. Chapter 32. Most mornings, Grayson would be the first one out of bed. He would turn on the space heater, visit the bandshell lavatory, then heat up some water, get breakfast ready, and finally wake the boy with a gentle shake of the shoulder. On December 30th, it was silence that woke Maniac, and the cold. The space heater wasn't on, no steaming cup sat on the table, and the old man was still under the covers. Maniac went over. "Grayson!" He shook the old man. "Grayson!" He took his hand. It was cold. "Grayson!" He didn't run to the superintendent's office. He knew he should. He didn't run to the nearest house. He just held that cold, limp hand that had thrown the pitch that struck out Willie Mays, that had betrayed his stoic ways by giving him a squeeze. And he just started talking to the old man about the places he had been on the road, about the places he wanted the two of them to go together, about everything. Then he began to read aloud. He read aloud all the books the old man learned to read. And he finished with the old man's favorite, Mike Mulligan's Steam Shovel. When he looked out the window, it was night. He dragged his chest protectors alongside the old man's mat, and he laid down, and only then, when he closed his eyes, did he cry. The funeral, such as it was, took place on the third day of the new year. Maniac had at last gone to tell someone, the zookeeper, and from then on, he just pretty much stayed out of the way. Grayson was brought to the cemetery in a wooden box. The pallbearers were unknown to Maniac. They were members of the town's trash collecting corps, and as they huffed and bent to lay the box over the hole, they smelled vaguely of pine and rotten fruit. Maniac was the only one there to mourn. He had thought maybe the park superintendent might show up, or the attendant at the Y locker room, or maybe the lady who ran the park food stand in the summer. No one was there. Only Maniac and the man from the funeral home, and 6 pallbearers, and 2 men off to the side smoking cigarettes and leaning on a little hole-digging tractor that made Maniac think of something. He smiled to himself and said, "Hey, Grayson, look, Mike Mulligan's steam shovel had a baby." High above, a silver plane crossed the sky, silent as a spider. A voice startled Maniac. "When's he coming?" It was one of the pallbearers. You know what the pallbearers are? They're the ones that carry the casket. The man from the funeral home pushed down the top of his black leather glove to expose his watch. "Should be here now. Should have been here 5 minutes ago." "How long we gotta wait?" The funeral man shrugged. All but one of the pallbearers now lit up a cigarette. Maniac wished he hadn't come. This had nothing to do with the man who once lived in that body in the wooden box. "I'm freezing my kachongas off," a pallbearer announced. "Yeah, me too," said another. "Hey, called one of the grave diggers, "we ain't waiting here all day to fill that hole." Everyone looked at the man in the long black coat. He looked at his watch again. Maybe he was stuck in traffic. Oh, the minister, thought Maniac. That's who we're waiting for. A pallbearer walked over to the funeral man. "Hey, we hauled the stiff here. Ain't that enough? They only paid us for an hour." Another pallbearer chimed in. "Let's go get some donuts. Ooh, hot coffee, baby." Loud clanks, and a gravedigger was striking that baby steam shovel with a spade. The funeral man sighed. He pulled his own cigarette, lit it from the glowing tip of the pallbearer's. "Give it 2 more minutes, then we'll see." Maniac only waited 1 of those minutes, searching the horizon for signs of the minister. He didn't see any. And whatever was going to happen at the end of that next minute, Maniac didn't want to see it. So he ran. "Hey, kid," they called. "Yo, kid." But he was running away. And that's where this part lets off. And that's where part 3 of the book is going to start next. So this is a good part to stop, sad as it is. I don't know how many of you predicted that was going to happen. I didn't. The first time I read it, that was pretty sad. I kept going back and looking at that page again, thinking, did it really say he died? I hate that part. But as you can see, the way Jerry Spinelli has this book set up, there's 2 clear parts so far. We saw the beginning, how Maniac was introduced to us and lived at the Beals. Now we saw part 2, where he was living with Grayson. So now we need to think what's going to happen in part 3. There's only 3 parts. So make your predictions for what you think, what you expect to happen next. Think about where he might go. So far, all we know all the troubles he had living in the East End. We know about how John McNabb and the Cobras didn't want him in the West End. So let's see what happens next week on our final week of school, our final week of Maniac Magee, when we will finish the book, finish part 3. Hope everybody has a great week. Bye, guys.